airport, and it was the first time that I was using Waze, because we went in full JAMO from the airport to the downtown of Mexico City at 7 o'clock in the afternoon, which is the worst rush hour in the city.
Yeah.
So I was with the Waze, and it was kind of the first time that I was using the Waze, and the Waze took me through to the airport, to the downtown, through Tepito. And it was the first time. Tepito is the black market, the Mexico City black market.
Yeah.
And your dad was, oh, sneakers, oh, a lot of things. What is this? And the little tiny streets crowded with a lot of things to sell and everything. And finally we came to the union teachers, and the event starts, and it was a huge success. And then the adventure starts.
Yes.
Yes,
indeed.
With the implementation.
That's right. Absolutely. And I remember that, of course, we spent a lot of time. I'm wondering, whether Jose Ernesto, hermano, are you in Cuernavaca right now?
Yes, we have been for a month here.
Yes, you have. Yeah, so we've actually, many of you are in Cuernavaca right now.
Yes.
We moved into an apartment building where we lived in Cuernavaca for extended periods of time, and Dad was cooking for us, and we were drinking tequila, and there was lots of, and I remember he would be so concerned about when Elio is going to arrive in the morning and all of that. But then when we I remember when we finished this major exercise, and we'll go to the whole idea of developing that curriculum and the platform and going forward. But I'm wondering, how did you meet Dad in terms of sort of setting up the pop movement as an organization in Mexico? Because I know that you were the one, and you still are the one who sort of put it all into place. Tell us what that connection was, and how did you get involved?
Okay. Adrián Fernández Bremount.
Yes.
As you know,
yeah.
I'm a lawyer.
Yes.
Of an NGO where he works.
Yeah.
So he invited me to meet your dad.
Yeah.
Dr. Pachauri, and remember we had a lunchtime at the Saks, International Saks, in Avenida Insurgentes in a very peculiar name, Barranca del Muerto. No?
Okay.
Barranca del Muerto. And then in that case, he asked me how can he be a member of a Mexican NGO, and how he can put the pop movement into an NGO in Mexico.
Right.
So I explained him the procedures, and then we prepare all the documents, and then the second time I saw him was with you at the Banamex or the Bancomer City Center, where you signed it as a member, as a founder of the Mexico Pop Movement AC. And then we had this authorization from the Mexican government, and I had so we are a donataria autorizada in Mexico that can make donations from Mexico and from overseas, and we have all the permissions. So I saw your dad few times later on, and we went to Coyoacán.
Yeah.
We had a lovely walk because it was raining. It was raining a lot, and he used to be in an Airbnb in Coyoacán.
Yeah.
And I remember it was raining, and he said, "I love to be walking into the rain." So we were walking without an umbrella into the restaurant. restaurant. He was very pleased in that restaurant, but we were very wet, having our dinner over there. But he was very pleased with nopales, I remember, at the last time. So he was very happy. He told me a lot about Cuernavaca.
Yeah.
He said, I love Cuernavaca. I would like to have a house in Cuernavaca. I would like to move myself into Cuernavaca. So for me, it's a pleasure to be talking about this experience, personal experience from your dad from Cuernavaca. So I know that Mexico Pop Movement is going to have an office here, no? With Cinema Planeta, and we are going to make sometime we are going to make a congress in Cuernavaca. Just remembering your dad.
Yes. Thank you. That's incredible, and you're absolutely right, because I still remember when Dad and I were in Cuernavaca together for the first time. He would he would take me out for walks. Like, I drink gallons of water, and we would go out to buy water, and he would interview Antonio and Elio and everybody about whether it was okay to walk there at night, like what is the security situation, is it okay to do this and that. Then he would go out with me, and then he would try and convince me that I must convince my mother that we have to move. And then he would try and tell me why the apartment building we were in was the best apartment building we needed to be in. And so he would take me out to get me water, which is what I was focused on, and then he would try and use that as a way to convince me to convince my mom. So yes, his dream was that. And then when you took him to Coyoacan, just by the way, he decided that Coyoacan was also a place he wanted to have an apartment. So there had to be one place in Mexico City, and then there had to be a place in Cuernavaca. So everything became it. And he used to always say, he used to say, if anybody looks inside my heart, they'll see that it's the color of the Mexican flag. So that's how he felt.
And there is a little data as well. Right now, the tax address of Mexico Puff Movement is in Coyoacan, because I moved my own offices into Coyoacan.
Yeah.
And my own offices of the Law Buffet are the offices of the Mexican Puff Movement. So
Yeah.
I think that's important as well, because he would love to be our tax address in Coyoacan.
Yes. So he's an office in Coyoacan, and then we can get the apartment in Cuernavaca. But yeah, thank you.
I remember that apartment in Coyoacan was super close from the National Cinematheque. So suddenly,
It is.
the first time I made, I lied to him and I tell him, Pachi, we have a very important meeting on Sunday at 12 o'clock, so I will pick you up at 11:30 and we need to go. Okay. And so I picked him up, and we went to La Sala Nezahualcóyotl for a concert. And he will be here, the meeting, and I said, no.
There is no
We
meeting.
are spending free time, Pachi.
Yeah.
This is leisure. We are going to this concert and to listen and to be relaxed.
Yeah.
He enjoyed a lot the concert. So since then, he was calling me saying, Elliot, do you have an important meeting for me? And I said, yes, let's go. And we went to the cinema, to the National Cinema.
Yeah, you got him started, because otherwise there's no way we were going to get out and ever do anything. But I'm wondering also, Dr. Norma, I remember when we had a chance to visit IPN and get to meet with some of your colleagues, and we met you at lunch. And then how did that connection happen? How did you become involved how did you sort of get engaged with the pop movement, and what was that connection with Dad when you'd met him? How did that happen?
Okay. Well, I can say that I knew about Dad, about Pachi, because of his work at the IPCC and climate change. His name was very well known for me. And when Adrian, again, invited him to IPA to give a conference, I was there, you were there, and I was very impressed about his talk and a lot of people and young people who was there. And after that, 2 days later, he invited me for breakfast in a beautiful place in Nuevo Chapultepec, close to the Papalote Museum. And I was very surprised because for me it was the first time that I met him personally. And he was talking for a long time in the breakfast, telling me about pop, about all your plans, about WSDF. I was there already with the students. And I decided to go with him to play a role with him in pop movement. And that was at the beginning of 2018. After that, I remember that we were having conversations by mail, sometimes by phone, and finally I decided to invite you because he couldn't go to the Dolphin Festival in Nuevo Vallarta, do you remember, to give a talk and to organize a workshop, pop workshop with all the students, where we had thousands of students from all over Mexico and abroad. And from that workshop, of course, we started to work together, and we did it the whole year, beginning from Nuevo León, I think. It was the first work that we did together for pop. And 19, of course, was a very strong, hard work, what we did together with him, trying to organize the festival in Chiapas, what we did, then the WSDF in Nuevo León, and we were together for more than 1.5 years working for pop. After with the WSDF, and that was the story. We had a very good link, we had a very good chemical attraction, and well, I was really giving 100% of my time on working with you on pop and WSDF. That is my story. He was always very kind. He was always like a Leo are telling us. He was always in a hurry. He wanted to do things very quickly, to get quickly answers, big answers, and to work in a very good way. What we did, and I am very happy to meet him in this time to work. Still working with you in this magnificent group and movement, of course.
Great, thank you.
That was story.
Amazing. Yeah, I know, because we covered a lot of ground, lots of countries, and I remember that we ended up going to Guadalajara, which is where we had one of the workshops at the university there. And I think Vanessa would tell us more, but I remember Vanessa was there in Guadalajara at the university where she still is. And then Vanessa became involved with, we met her later, but the story had started with first interaction in Nayarit.
Okay.
So that's where the genesis was, but then we went there. But in the meanwhile, Vanessa had started doing a lot of stuff in Guadalajara, and she's still very busy. So what happened after Nayarit, and then how did that momentum pick up? What were you thinking? And tell us your story, Vanessa. What was it?
Yeah, but I always had been interested in making something for the environment.
Uh-huh.
So in my university, I was developing a project to look some solutions for biofuels.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met the pop movement on the Film Congress on Nayarit,
yeah,
I was like really, really excited about hearing pop movement. I wanted to share my research with pop movement and work with pop movement. And I remember that I coordinate
all my big group of my university, because University of Guadalajara is like really, really big, and nobody was like doing anything, and I was like a little bit desperate, and I just stand up and start organizing all my university, all the university centers, and I remember that I had a conversation with you, Crash. I was like really, really excited because I was having this conversation with you, and you told me that the University of Guadalajara created a very, very great work. That you wanted to speak with students and you wanted to be in contact with the university. And you asked me with who I can be in contact, and I told you, with me. Like, very, very happy. And I started making like a WhatsApp group with all my friends and with all the persons from the University of Guadalajara, all the centers. And then we have the story on the workshop at Pusey. We make it happen. That was a big, big challenge for me. A really, really big challenge because I needed to mobilize all the authorities in my university. I remember that I was like, yeah, I want this workshop on this university because we need to talk about environmental subjects. We need to make conscious everybody. So I started having more contact with Dr. Pachauri, and we start organizing the first international conference and festival for pop movement. So I remember all his follow-up. He always teach me to work with perseverance and love, to work for people and for the environment. So I always have been like very excited working on the pop movement. After the international, we started working on the WSDF, and I had some calls with him previously, UCAN. So he wanted to work with me with UCAN. Yeah. I remember all those calls. That calls made me like very nervous. I didn't have the opportunity to meet him in person, but I met him virtually in calls and video calls and emails. And I remember that he made me 2 or 3 calls talking about UCAN. And I was like really nervous because it was like, oh my God, how I'm having a conversation with him? That's not possible. So I was like really, really nervous having conversations with him. But he was always really, really kind. He was always really kind, and he was always really happy, and he was like giving that energy for me, with me. And he was very, very respectful. So he teach me to work with that love and with that energy and with that happiness always, and to transmit this happiness and love to social and to protect and make this happen to protect our planet. So yeah,
great.
It's like a very amazing story that I have with pop movement, and because it has been a challenge for me because I have been learning and making a lot of work, a lot of new things, and I am very, very grateful for this opportunity that Dr. Pachauri gave me to be part of this family, and I feel like very, very happy and excited.
It's very mutual, Vanessa. It is. It's very mutual, and we're so proud because we also have an MOU with Udehe, and I think I remember the first time when we were at Delphin, and there were I think there were about some 4,000 students from across all of Latin America mostly, and some maybe Central and Caribbean region, and I just said, I need some help. And then suddenly you were all over the place doing it. You were helping out, and I didn't even know who you were. I was like, where did she go? But you were so busy, and you still are. And we're very proud. And thank you so much for sharing that story. And it, like I said, it's mutual. We're equally grateful and blessed to be part of this big family. And thank you for sharing. And I remember when Komal and Drishya made contact also, I would love to be able to hear how did the connection happen with pop movement, because you were looking to do something totally different when you when the two of you came in, and I mean, actually, Drisha came in because Komal made connection through another common acquaintance. So how did this thing happen? Because I went away on a trip, and then suddenly everything evolved. So what is the story the two of you have? Come
So,
talk.
yeah. So, I remember when I was working with you and Dr. Pachauri on self-care, Dr. Saroj Pachauri on self-care. So, one day, Dr. Pachauri called me and asked me, what do you think about climate change? What do you do for climate? I was like, I do something, but so, and then he asked me, did you do something on climate to save the climate, to protect our planet? And I was like, yes, sir, I did a project in my biotech. And then he asked me about my project. After that, he asked me to take out the number of organizations and the universities which are releasing carbon dioxide and all those things which are harming our planet. So I thought, oh, it's a day work for me. I can just Google it and I can come with a number. And that day, when I started doing it, when I started researching about it, I realized, no, it's not a small thing. He asked me something to do a major thing that really is important for the climate. And I was like, oh my God, what did I say in front of him? I can do it in a day. So that's how I connected to the pop movement. And then Trisha joined us. And she was always been interested in climate, and she was always been interested in these environmental things, and she has planted lots of plants in her societies and nearby. So I think we should listen from
Yeah,
Trisha.
yeah, because I remember Dad calling me and saying, "So I've called Drisha to come over and meet with me to discuss her work." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I don't know Drisha, but that's fine." And then the next thing I knew, I was seeing these emails flying back and forth, and Dad called me and he said, "No, no, 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 like they can really make stuff happen. These guys are incredible, and you've got to come back and meet Drisha." And I was like, "Okay, let me do that." And then, of course, by then, Drisha had taken stuff and run with it. So tell us, Drisha, what was it? How did this whole thing happen? Because I was definitely not witness to it. So
Before Trisha started, I just want to share one thing about Dr. Pachauri. So he was always being very unexpected. Like I remember, me and Trisha remember one moment that we didn't do something. He gave us some work and we were not able to complete that on time. So he called both of us in his cabin and he asked us to sit, and we both were very scared, like we are gone today. And then he suddenly played the music and we both were so blank. What will happen after that? So he always played pranks with us.
yeah, he was a prankster. That's for sure. He loved doing that, and of course, music was a great love. And we learned living in Cuernavaca. Cooking was great. I used to wonder I remember when we used to get together, and we were lots of us. We used to spend all day together, and he'd tell everyone, "Tomorrow I'm gonna cook for you." And I was thinking to myself, I said, "Dad, I don't think so." I know. And he would sit and work till like from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening, and I'd say, "We're never gonna get dinner. It's not gonna happen, we're not gonna get dinner." And he would chop everything up and he would cook it, and of course the tequila and mezcal would come out, and then the rest is history, but the music would play. So yeah, I know what you mean. We'll go back to Cuernavaca in a minute, but I do understand. Yeah, that was music was his favorite, and he would often sit there and just be playing music, and he'd play music and enjoy it. So, and he loved to share it. So, great. So tell us, Trisha. So then, what happened?
So one day Komal called me and she said that you might get an opportunity to work on climate action, do some climate action now finally, because I was always like the one of those kids since my childhood who were known as the activist, like, correcting everybody. Okay, so you should not drink water, you should not store water in plastic, you should plant more trees and all that. So, I mean, this is something which I have grown with, like, since childhood. That, plant trees, you should take care of your own things. If even if you're talking about food, you need to grow it, and then, because talking about my generations, they were farmers. So my father was into studies all the time, and he was a scientist. So he used to look at everything from that lens. So he taught me that, everything is related, everything is connected. So these are the values I've grown up with. And when she told me that, you might get an opportunity to work with Dr. Pachauri, because he wants to meet you. So then that day I was like, okay, I was in my office. That time I was working with some other organization. So I was in my office and I was like, oh my God, I have to meet him. And I had to meet him in the morning. So the next day. So I have to be on time and all that. And I have to look very, like well dressed and all. Because my father told me that, the first thing people are going to notice about you is how you keep yourself. So I met him, and I came inside the room and sat on a chair, and then he asked me, so what do you want to do, Drisha? So I had a lot of things going into my mind. I used to do communications, making strategies and all. So the first thing that pricked me at that moment was that I can make strategies and all, and I participated in a few competitions and all. So I was like in that zone. Okay, so I'm very good at making strategies and all. So then he asked me, okay, Trisha, then I give you 24 hours, and you give me a write up. What can you do on field, rather than doing all this? Like, if you have to be part of the movement, you need to do something which mobilize others. It's not just that you are contributing. So then I was not able to do it in 24 hours, because I had so many things in my mind that I was not able to do it. I took one more day, and then I gave him the write-up, and he liked it. So he asked me to sort of elaborate that. And as I was working at that time with some other organization, but my passion for this thing was so much that as soon as my office used to get over, I used to come and sit around with him, work with him, and used to take his guidance mainly, because of course he had a very little time, because everybody was looking for his time at that time. So I was like, okay, and I feel so honored. Like, even if I'm getting like half an hour or 5 minutes to sit with him, to learn something from him, I just want to grab that. So every day I used to come to meet him after office and show him how am I working, and then of course that used to go to Dr. Raj for his reviews as well. So that's how I came on board with Bob. And one thing that inspired me every day to do that, because it was not easy, because I had my thesis submission at that time. Then I was working with one organization. Then I was working for Pop as well. So, like, as a volunteer. So it wasn't easy for me. But he used to look at me and say, Trisha, you have a lot of potential. You have no idea. You just don't know how to execute that. And every day I used to think, I have so much of potential. He's saying that's like I have actually achieved something now. Now I have to prove it. So, and this is one sentence that he has mentioned to me like n number of times, and that made me believe that I can do it. So for all my confidence, for all my work within this time period, I thank him only, because although I worked on it, but that motivation was always from him. Because if suppose he gave me something and I'm not able to complete it on time, so he used to say that, I worked yesterday till 3 a.m. and I used to be like, oh shit, oh my god. So if I'm even looking at him and sitting next to him, I need to learn that if I have to complete something, some task, some product, then how am I going to do it? How much time I need to devote? So that's my story, and that's what I learned while working with Pop. So the most important thing right now for me is whenever I look at those people who are right now associated with Pop, like they look at it with so much of um, what should I say? I mean, hope that and confidence. I mean, it has inspired so many people that people are coming forward. Okay, we want to do something of our own, and when you start thinking like that, it gives you so much confidence, and you start believing on yourself. And once you start believing on yourself, then I'm sure whatever is there in your mind, you will achieve that. So I think the entire Pop family, whoever is watching us or whoever is going to watch this video, or we had some live events today, and we are going to have during the course of this month as well as next month. I just want to say one thing, that you know this will should go on, because we have to make a change. We have no other option, and you can do it if you keep learning and you keep looking at people who are doing that. So if I am associated with one thing, it should not end at that. We should work together. We should work on multiple things, because this is something everybody needs to have in their life. So that's it. And that's how inspired I am, by working with Bob. So thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Drisha. Thank you so much. We're equally inspired, and you inspire many, including the entire Pop family. So thank you so much. And you're right. We've had a few events today, and we feel blessed that we're able to have the kind of connections we're able to make with the young people around the world. And I hope that there'll be many more to come, and I know we're already planning, but I'm also wanting to hear, because I know Philo also has been super invested in the pop movement for some time. And Philo also started somehow differently, not like chanced on the pop movement, and then the pop movement just makes everybody sort of pop, all right. So how did that happen? How did you start to pop with the movement? Tell us.
Well, it's not a huge story. So basically, we were part of this research project with WHO, and you were in Madurai. I remember the first time I heard about pop movement was in this cramped jeep we were sitting on, and you were like, "Hey, have you heard about pop and WSK? If I'll show you some videos," and you opened YouTube, and it ended there. You were like, "I'd love very much to get involved." And after about 10 months after that, I distinctly remember sitting one day very purposelessly, very down, and then you called me and you're like, how would you like to get on board, help with the communication stuff. I think it started from there, and for me, I was very nervous because I was never familiar with the professional work setting before. I was just a student and had no proper experience. So the first time I came to Delhi, first time I met Dr. Pachauri, first time I met all of you in the team, it was super nervous for me. But to be honest, most of the time I worked with the pop movement very remotely. I was always somewhere in the corner at home or in my college, but I've never felt alone, not even once. Because always, I don't know, the entire pop team, you, Risha, Komal, Vishnu, all of them, through WhatsApp, through emails, every email I get, all of those encourage me to move on, and it sort of makes me feel like I never feel alone, and that's the only thing that's pushing me to continue on.
That's great.